Good evening, dear participants. We welcome everyone for the third day of the international webinar series. The participants can access the YouTube live link also being shared in the WhatsApp group and attend the webinar when the session is full. Thank you. Good evening, dear participants. The session will start exactly at 6:30 today. Kindly mute your audios and off your videos to avoid technical issues and for better clarity. We request all the participants to mute your audios and to off your videos to avoid technical issues after the session starts. We would also like you to avoid presenting your screens when the session is going on, as the PowerPoint presentation gets interrupted. Kindly avoid sending greeting messages and pleasantries when the session is going on. Thank you.
ಅದು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಗಿ അതോടെ സ്ക്രീൻ ടച്ച് ആകാം. അതോടെ സ്ക്രീൻ ടച്ച് ഷെയർ ആകുന്നില്ല യൂട്യൂബ്. യൂട്യൂബ് അതോടെ സ്ക്രീൻ ഷെയർ ആകുന്നില്ല.
Shall we start, ma'am? Shall we start, ma'am? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Shall we go?
Yes, sir, we can start, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Not any.
Yes. Good evening and welcome, everybody. It is with tremendous pleasure that I welcome you all to the third day of the international webinar series on research on behalf of the KSG College Management, our principal, vice principal, the program convener, and the organizing committee. We feel really elated to have you all with us. We could assure you that each minute you spend in the session with a resource person would be counted valuable. May I take the honor of requesting Dr. Sahadevan sir from the Department of Biotechnology to welcome the participants and introduce the chief guest to us.
Greeting to all from KSG College of Arts and Science to this international webinar series on effective approach to the essential of research. This event would not have been published possible without the guidance and motivation of our managing trustee, Srimati K.S. Gita, and our secretary, Dr. Pavitra TamilNadu. In spite of their absence, their blessing and wishes are with us. I also extend a hearty welcome to the guest of the day, Dr. Mahip M Bartere. We are extremely privileged to have you with us. It would be incomplete if I failed to welcome our principal, Dr. B. Gunnalan, and vice principal, Dr. M. Bartere, who always lead us to greater achievements. I also welcome Dr. Nagarajan, the convener of this webinar, the organizing committee, Dr. Ranjit and Jaitan Baby, all the faculty members, research scholars, and students who are attending this session. I now propose a brief introduction about our chief guest of the day. This evening, it gives me great honor.
Sahadevan sir, sorry for interrupting, sir. Sir, can the audio be more clear, sir? You're not able to hear the voice clearly.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I now propose a brief introduction about our chief guest of the day. This evening, it gives me great honor and privilege in welcoming and introducing our chief guest, Honored Dr. Mahip M Bartere. He is an associate professor in CAS Raisoni University, Amravati, Maharashtra. He has completed his PhD in computer science and engineering. An experience of 12 years in teaching and 5 years in research adds to his credits. He is an expert in image processing, neural network, and data science. He has published 65 journals, attended 25 conferences, 35 STP, 3 patents, 12 FDP, and 20 certification programs. He has also submitted proposals to various funding agencies. He is an advisory board member in more than 10 journals. It is an honor to have you among us. I now call upon our chief guest with a big applause. Thank you.
Thank you for the warm note of welcome, sir. Thank you for introducing the chief guest to us and for welcoming all the participants on the other side of the screen. Today, we have with us Dr. Mahip from GH Raisoni University, Amravati, as the resource person for the day. I feel privileged to invite him to enlighten the participants gathered here on problem identification and solution in the field of research. Welcome, sir.
Okay, shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Sorry, I am having some network issue. That's why I am not able to share my
Yes, sir. We
screen.
just welcomed you to take over for the session, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. My screen is visible to you, ma'am?
Yes, sir. The screen is visible, sir, but it's not in full mode, full view.
Now it is okay?
Yes, sir. It's fine, sir.
Okay. A very good evening to one and all present over here. I am Dr. Mahip Bartere from GH Raisoni University, Amravati, Maharashtra. First of all, I am very thankful to Nagarjun sir and KSG college for giving me an opportunity to share my views in the form of webinar to all the participants. Okay. So in today's webinar, we are going to discuss about the one of the most important parameters in the research, which is related with the problem identification and its solution. So basically, whenever we do any type of research, so first of all, you should understand what is the meaning of research. Meaning of research is nothing but we have to search again and again unless and until we reach our goal. Because what happens whenever we do any type of research, what is our motto? We are having some problem and we are going to provide the solution of those problems by doing some kind of research. When we do our research, if we are not able to get the proper output, again we are going to do the research. That's why we are going to call it as research. The meaning of research is nothing but we are going to do the researching again and again unless and until we can reach our goal. Okay. So in today's webinar, I am going to discuss about the one of the most important parameters in the research field, that is nothing but problem identification and its solution. So basically, whenever we talk about the concept of problem identification, which is one of the important parameters in research, why it is one of the important parameters in research, I am going to discuss. I will take some time on that and then I am going to provide some identification and its solution. So basically, whenever we want to do any type of research in any field, the first thing we have to identify the problem. Because what happens if you are not able to identify the problem, then how you are going to provide the solution for those problems. Okay. So basically, if you want to do any type of research, the first thing that you have to do is nothing but you have to identify the problem. That's why in this webinar, I am going to discuss about the how we are going to identify the problem. Okay. So basically what problem is all about? I am going to categorize these problems into two parameters, that is known parameters and unknown parameters. Basically what happens whenever, suppose if you are doing any type of research, if you are having one topic, okay, on that topic, if you are identify the different papers and then you can read the different number of papers, what output you are expecting? You have to identify the gap in that paper. Okay. So that gap is nothing but your problem. Because what happens, most of the researchers can do their research by different way. Okay. And then they are having their own solution. Okay. So whenever you read the different papers of different researchers, at that time, whenever you are going to extract some knowledge from those papers, So that knowledge extractions are nothing but your research gap. So whenever you want to do any type of research and you are in the phase of identification of the problem, the first thing that you have to do is nothing but you have to identify the research gap. This research gap can give you multiple reasons. Okay, so these multiple reasons are nothing but you are getting the different number of problems from the previous work that was done by the researchers, and from that reasons you are able to identify it, or you are able to construct your own problem. So whenever we deal with the problem identification phase in research, you have to identify the gap in the research. Okay, so this gap may be unknown gap or known gap. The known gap is nothing but whenever if you identify your topic, and most of the researchers can do the different number of works on your specific topic, and you can gone through the different number of papers, and then you are going to extract some knowledge and you are reached to one kind of problems that are nothing but your known problems. The unknown facts are nothing but sometimes it may be possible, though you identify the different number of papers for the specific research, okay, and if you thought that this work is not sufficient, I can contribute more so that I can improve the performance of those papers. So such kind of gaps are nothing but your unknown gaps. Okay, so whenever we do any type of research, the first important parameters you have to keep in mind is nothing but you have to do the problem identification. So the problem identifications can be done with the help of known and unknown facts, and the basic parameters to identify the problem is nothing but you have to identify the research gap in the previous work that was done by the different researchers. So basically, how we are going to able to understand the gap? The first question came into our mind, sir, you are going to talk about the identification of research gap. So how I can identify the problem statement? How I can create my problem statement? So there are some sources of problems that are going to be, I am going to discuss with you right now. So these are the different number of sources by virtue of which I am able to identify the research gap, so that I can continue my research work. Okay, the first source is nothing but your observation. Suppose I am having one paper. In that paper, I am for that specific topic, I am going to collect 10 number of papers, and after the collection of those 10 number of papers, I read all these papers, and after analyzing the result analysis parameter of those papers, I am going to observe some parameters, and I think that with the help of some other techniques I can improve the performance of those results. Okay, so from that you are able to identify the research gap. So observations are nothing but, if you gone through different number of papers, if you thought that these papers are not able to provide the possible solution for a specific problem, you can upgrade those solutions. Then this is nothing but these things are able help you to identify the research gap with the help of some kind of observation. The second source is nothing but decision dilemma. In some papers, if you thought that you are not able to satisfy the conclusion that was given by the researcher of that specific paper, and if you thought that this conclusion is not promising, this conclusion is not relevant, whatever the result that was posed by the researcher author of the paper is not sufficient, on the basis of that you can create or you can take the decision, yeah, these are my parameters, these parameters are not provide the proper solution, so that I can select those parameters and I am going to try to improve those results. On the basis of that you can identify the problem. The next source is nothing but your academic experience. Suppose you are going to suppose you taught one subject from last 10 years, okay, and if you thought that for a specific concept, you thought that if you take some kind of numericals for that specific problems, and you can come to know that, yeah, this concepts not able to clear all the proper parameters related to specific concept, so that you can use your academic experience and you can identify the research gap. Okay, so that is another source. Daily experience are nothing but, if you identify the specific thing day by day. Suppose I can say that I went to college by taking a bus. Okay, so bus started its journey at 9:30 and reached to college at 10. In between 9:30 and 10, if someone wants to trace me, how you can trace me? So this is the daily experience. From that you can identify the research gap. So the research gap is also identified with your daily experiences. Sometimes it may be possible, if you are working in a specific concept, okay, you are having your own laboratory, your MTech students are doing some kind of work, and if you thought that my students not able to generate the proper results, okay, so by understanding the different types of field situation, you are able to extract the problem statement. Reading, by reading the different number of research paper of your specific domain, you are able to identify the research gap. These research gaps are going to be retrieved by reading the different number of research paper that was written by the different authors. Then the next source is nothing but your consultation. Consultations are nothing but if you are working on a specific project and if you thought that these projects are working well in different conditions, but there are some conditions where this project not able to work properly. So on the basis of that, you are able to derive the new problem. Brainstorming, if you are having a very good research team, you are going to discuss some parameters or some topics in between your groups. At that time, by doing the brainstorming, you are able to extract some problems which is going to be provide the solutions by you in the form of research. So brainstormings are nothing but you are having a one research group, you are going to discuss some parameters, some topics, and on the basis of that you can retrieve the research gap and you can retrieve the problem. By doing the different types of research, okay, if you are already working in a specific field and if you are doing the continuous work on a specific topic, you can improve your knowledge and you can improve your performance by providing some different parameters. Suppose I am having one tool and with the help of tool my performance is 99%, but I can show that if I am having new algorithm which can give me the performance of 100%, so I can improve my performance. So these are going to be terms are going to be identified with the help of some kind of research. So these sources are helpful for you for identification of research gap. In the previous slide we already discussed about the research gap, because if you want to identify a specific problem, okay, if you want to identify a research gap, so these are the number of sources are available with the help of which you are able to identify your problem. So problem statement is one of the most important parameters of your research work, because if you don't have any problems, you are not able to provide the solution. So these are you are going to take any type of resources as per your convenience and you can identify the research gap from a specific domain. Then the next question came into our mind is nothing but what are the criteria that are going to be identified by any researcher for a selection of those resources. So I am going to discuss about the criteria for selection. So there are different number of criteria that we are having. I am going to divide these criteria in the form of internal and external. So basically what internal is all about, we are going to talk about the problem statement. Okay, so how we are going to identify the problem, that is the first question. So for that you have to read the papers, or you are going to refer some kind of projects, or you can use some white papers. On the basis of that you are going to identify the research gap. Okay, so after identification of different number of sources, how you are going to select the proper resources, as we are having different number of resources. Among those number of resources, which resources I am going to be select so that it can helpful for me for my future research work, so that I am able to identify my research problem. So these are the criteria. So the first criteria is related with the internal. So what are the different parameters are comes under the internal parameters are nothing but researcher's interest. So it is very important, if you want to do any type of research, unless and until you don't have any type of interest on that specific topic, you are not able to do a proper research. So it is not going to do the justice to any type of research. So basically it depends on the researchers to identify its own interest on what topic I am able to do my research. I am very comfortable in that specific topic. So it is very important for you to identify your own interest. Suppose I belong to the field of computer science and engineering department, okay, and my research area is image processing. So it is my keen interest that I am going to do my work in the field of image processing. If someone told me that you can do the work in the field of cloud computing, but it is not my interest, then at that time I am not going for that cloud computing, because it is not my interesting topic. So it depends on the researcher's interest on what topic he wants to work. Then second criteria in the field of internal is nothing but your researcher's competence. It means that if you are comfortable with specific concept or in a specific domain, if you thought that in image processing you are able to do a good research work, then you can go for that. So it depends on you. we already discussed about the research interest. If you are having a good interest on that specific topic, then you can do the keen interest, then you can create an interest by default, and then you can go and then you can do your research in a proper direction. The second parameter is related with the research competence. As you are having a interesting topic, you are very interested into to do work a specific domain, it means that you are very much compatible with that specific topic, and you can go and you can do your research in a proper way. Then third parameters in the internal is nothing but your researcher resources. Whenever you want to identify a specific sources for the identification of a problem, at that time you have to identify what are the different number of resources are available near to you. Because what happens, sometimes it may be possible if you are going to select one topic, but for the research parameters, if you don't have different number of resources for that, then you are not able to generate the proper results. It means that your research is not having any kind of use. So whenever you select any type of resources, and if you want to identify a specific problem, if you identify a specific problem, parallel to that you are able to identify, you have to identify that whether the resources are available to solve, to provide the solution of those problems are available with me or not. Okay, so it is very important for you to identify whether the resources are available to me or not. These second types of criteria are come under the heading of external parameters. The first is nothing but researchable. It means that if you gone through different number of papers, and if you thought that for that specific author is not able to provide the results, I can do some better kind of work so that I can provide the good results. So you can use the external parameter. Importance, urgency. If you thought that it may be possible that if you most of you already came across one hackathon. Okay, in hackathon, Government of India already provide the different number of problems, and they are going to ask to provide the solutions. Okay, if you thought that you are in a better state of condition to provide the solutions, so that, because what happened, whatever the problems that was suggested by the Government of India through hackathon, those are very important. So it may be possible that you are going to identify those problems, you can do the study, and then you can provide the results. So on the basis of importance and urgency, because why it is come under the external parameters, because the problem statement is given by the third agency, you are going to identify those problems, the problem is already identified, now your work is to provide the solution. So you can you can get the ready-made problem statement from the external sources. Sometimes it may be possible about the novelty. It means that if you are having one patent, okay, if you study one of if you study the patent of one of the author, and if you thought that those author is having a very good novelty, but he fails to provide the proper whatever the disadvantages he is having, I am going to solve those disadvantages by providing some new concepts. So that comes under the novelty. Feasibility. If you are working in the field of agriculture engineering, and if you thought that you require some kind of IoT sensors, because what happened in the field of computer science and engineering, one emerging technology come into our computer science and engineering field, and that is nothing but IoT, which is called as Internet of Things. In Internet of Things, we are going to use the different number of sensors in the field, but it may be possible if I am going to use those sensors in the heavy rainfall region, it means that it is not having any kind of use. So whenever you select any topic, you have to identify its feasibility, whether that problem is feasible to your specific condition or not. Again, facilities are, I am going to correlate these facilities with the researcher resources. If you want to identify a specific problem which is given by the third party, and if you want to start the working on that specific problem, so whether the sufficient facilities are available with you or not, you have to go identify it, and if you want to track whether these facilities are available with you or not. And the last parameters, that last criteria in the field of external is nothing but usefulness. Because what happens whenever we do any type of research, whether this research can provide the solution for a specific general population of our country or not. So basically what happens, usefulness is all about whether whatever the research or whatever the product that was developed by me, whether it is useful for my country's people or not. Okay, so on the basis of these parameters, I am going to identify the different number of sources. So internal comes under the sources where you have to identify your own problem, and if I am going to talk about the external, it means that whatever the problems, I am going to the problem statement is given by the third party. I am going to do this some kind of study on that specific problem, and I thought that I can provide the solution and then I can go ahead. Okay, so in this way, these are the number of criteria are available to identify the selection of the different number of sources which are available with me. Okay, so these are the different number of criteria. Now, one of the most important parameter in the field of research is nothing but you have to identify the research problem. You are having different number of sources, you are using those different number of resources, and now you are in a state of condition to create your own problem. Okay, so now we are going to create a problem statement. So how we are going to identify a research problem? So these are the number of steps by virtue of which, or these are the number of points we have to keep in mind whenever we have to identify a problem statement. So some type of problems are nothing but your decision problem. Now what is this decision problem? Suppose you are having one concept, and if you want to provide a decision, for example, suppose I am doing one online shopping, I am using Amazon Web Services, I am having Amazon app in my mobile. Okay, with the help of that Amazon app, I am going to buy a shoe. Okay, for that, and I get the shoe at my home. But next time whenever I am going to open my app, I can see the ranges of different number of shoes. How it is possible? Because what happens, whenever we visit a specific website to buy a specific product, at that time that website can store the count for which product I am going to show my keen interest. On the basis of that, we are going to create the decision problem. The second way to identify the research problem is nothing but you have to discuss with your subject expert. Suppose I am going to take an example of a research paper. Suppose you read one research paper XYZ, okay, and if you are having some doubt, okay, so you can search for that specific author. You can get the email ID of that specific author, and you can send an email to that author and say that, sir, you can post this number of points, but I can think that I can improve by offering some other techniques, whether it is possible. So in this way you can take the help of some subject expert. Okay, once you are having a very good bonding with that subject expert, you are going to discuss the different number of fundamental issues on that specific topic, and then you can formulate your research problem. Third way is to identify the research problem is nothing but you are having ample number of papers on your research topic. Okay, you can read all the research paper, and then after reading the 20-30 research paper, you are going to extract the proper information from all those papers, and you are having your own conclusion. Okay, we can call it as review paper. Okay, so whatever the different work that was done by the researcher, you are going to identify those papers. Basically, you have to keep one thing in mind, because what happens whenever we are going to read the different number of papers, select only those papers which are correlated with your research topic. Otherwise, what happens, you are going to waste your time by reading the different number of papers which are not having any type of relation with your research topic. Okay, so whenever you want to do any type of research, or whenever you read any type of research paper of a different authors, at that time you are going to go through the different number of papers, extract some knowledge, and on the basis of that conclusion you are going to formulate your own problem. The next way is to identify the organizational analysis. The meaning of organizational analysis is nothing but some author already having some fruitful work, and they thought that in the future scope this work can be done in future. So it may be possible whatever the future sources that was shown by the author in their thesis or in their dissertation or in their white paper, you can grab those opportunities and then you can provide the solution. The next is nothing but qualitative survey. The qualitative survey, these terms is correlated with the management people. If you are having one product, and if suppose I am having one product ABC, I am going to do the different number of surveys for that specific product, and I can extract some feedback. Some are good feedback and some are bad feedback. Now my first intention is nothing but how I am going to maintain the good feedback and how I am going to overcome the bad feedback which was given by the user or of the customer. On the basis of that, you can do some kind of qualitative survey, and then you can get some kind of values, and on the basis of that you can formulate your problem. And by default you are having one more type of problem, is nothing but your research problem. research problems are nothing but if third parties, suppose external, I am going to talk about the external. Government of India run the competition of hackathon in every year. Okay, so you can get the problems from the external agencies, and if you thought that yeah, this problem is related with my domain, I am very comfortable in that, I am having very good research competencies for provide the solution for that specific topic, then I can identify the research problem. So basically whatever the research problem I want to identify, I want to identify the problem identification by using different number of steps that I am having. So what is the difference between decision problem and research problem? That is one of the most important issue that I want to discuss in this session. So decision problems are nothing but, suppose I am going to talk about what should be done to increase the customer base of organic product in domestic market. I am having one product, okay, and I am going to do one kind of survey. On the basis of that, I am going to take the feedback of those customers in the form of decision, whether they like or not. But if I am going to talk about the research problem, I am going to create the awareness. If some is having some kind of problem, if someone say that by using this product I am having some allergy issue, so I am going to create the awareness by using this product. If you are having such kind of problems, do not use this product. Okay, so that comes under the research problem. Again, how I am going to reduce the turnover in the BPO sector? If you are having a very good product that you are going to be sell in the market, and if you thought that the turnover is getting reduced day by day, so how I am going to overcome? So what are the decision I have to take? But if I am going to talk about the research problem, I am going to talk about the impact of person that are going to be do the work in my company, whether they are satisfied or not, whether they are having sufficient knowledge or not. On the basis of that, I am going to check the probabilities. Okay. Again, one more decision problem is nothing but how to increase the delivery process of Widex hearing aids. We are having one product Widex, and I want to increase the sale. So what type of decision I have to take so that I can increase my sale? But suppose I can say that this Widex product is not very much helpful in India. So what is the research problem? I have to check whether those Widex is the supply chain is available in India or not. Okay. So whatever the different steps we are having, what are the different sources that I am having in the form of decision problem, or I want to identify any type of problem identification. I have to identify whether you want to work on the decision problem or you want to work on the research problem. So basically, if you select your field as a research problem, it means that you have to provide the solution. You did not take any type of decision from the other. Okay, you have to take your own decision. On the basis of that, you have to formulate your own problem, and then you are able to create your own problem statement. Because what happens whenever we do any type of research, so we need one problem statement so that we can provide the solution. Unless and until you don't have any problem statement, you are not able to provide the good solution for any type of work. So problem statement is one of the most important fundamental parameters in the research field. Once you identify a problem, okay, suppose I can say that I am going to identify this is my problem. Okay, so now it is your prime responsibility how you are going to provide the solution of that specific problem that was formulated by you, or it was given by the third party. So how you are going to provide the solution? So for providing the solution, you have to provide the objectives. Because what happens whenever we do any type of literature survey, at that time we are going to extract some knowledge from the previous research paper, and on the basis of that I can say that this work cannot provide the good result because of this. Now in my research work, this is my objective. Okay, once you are able to generate your problem statement, then the next step is nothing but you have to create your objective. So research objectives are nothing but in what way, what are the parameters that are going to be considered by you, so that with the help of which you are able to provide the solution of those problems that was generated or that was identified by you. Okay, so research objectives are nothing but, in short, you can provide the parameters of providing the solution of that specific problem. So for this purpose, you have to formulate or frame some research question. Because what happens whenever you are having one kind of problem, okay, once you generate your problem statement, you have to throw different number of research questions on that. So on the basis of that, you have to generate the different number of questionnaires so that you can get a valid objective. So you have to broken down your research questions. So research question need to be broken down. Whatever the problem that statement that was created by you, whether it can provide the solution for a specific problem, whatever the objectives that was framed by you, whether it is in correlation with your problem statement or not. Then the next way to create the objectives are nothing but you have to clearly define the objectives, because what happens if you are not able to clearly define your objectives, it means that you are having some kind of dilemma. Okay, it means that you are not in a state of condition to provide the solution, you are not ready for that. Okay, so whenever you write any type of objectives, your objectives should be very clear, and it is very much in correlation with the research problem that was framed by you. Otherwise what happens if you can say that your research problem is nothing but I can provide the good result in terms of accuracy, but in objectives, okay, if you are identify the problem on the basis of accuracy, you can say that in the previous research paper the accuracy is 90% and now I am going to talk about the performance activity. So this is not the way. So it is very important for the researchers to describe the objectives very clearly, and this objective is very much in correlation with your research problem, so that it can provide it, because objectives are nothing but it can show the path for providing the solution of the problem which was identified by you. Okay, so the objectives will be defined very clearly by every researchers whenever they do any type of research. So suppose I am going to take an example how to define an objective. Up till now what we discuss about the different number of sources, then we talk about the how we are going to select the proper criteria, then on the basis of that I am going to frame my problem statement, and now I am going to provide the solution with the help of some kind of objective. So that is the main motto of my today's webinar, where I am going to discuss about how to identify the problems, and now we are in the remaining session we are going to discuss about the solution part. Okay, suppose my objective is to study the existing organic market. It means that if I am going to write such kind of objectives, it means that what steps I have to take to satisfy the objectives. I have to categorize the product in terms of in which parameters it can comes under, whether it comes under the grain, whether it comes under the snack, whether it comes under the fruit or vegetable. Because what happens whenever we want to do any type of survey for a specific market, at that time you have to divide a market into different number of criteria, whether you are going to talk about the grain market or you are going to talk about the fruit market. Then second thing you have to think about the demanding. If you are whatever the product that you are having, what is the demand of that specific product? If that product is already existing in the market which was generated by the another company, so what is the demand of that specific product? Okay, so you have to do some kind of estimation parameter, and then on the basis of that you have to understand the marketing strategy. So already market is having one product, what is the feedback of that product, whether that product is taken by the different number of customers, whether the demand supply is satisfied by the specific company or not. On the basis of that you have to define your strategies. Okay, so in this way you are going to frame your objectives. Then second parameter is nothing but, suppose I can say that I am going to talk about the consumer research. So what is the criteria? If I am going to talk about the consumer research, at that time I have to talk about the customer profile. So whatever the product that I want to sell or that I want to launch in the market, so this product is going to be taken by which customer, which type of customer. Okay, if the product costing is less, it means that it is going to be buy by everyone. If the product cost is high, then who is going to buy? So you have to study the customer profile. Then you have to think about the potential of the customer. Whatever the product that was launched by you in the market, what is the cost of that? Okay, then whether people or customer aware about your product or not, whether you do the proper marketing strategy or not, whether you having different number of ads on a TV or not. On the basis of that you are going to identify the consumer research. This is the another way to identify the objective. The third way to generate your objectives in the form of opinion survey. So whatever the product that was launched by you in the market, so you can take the survey of different number of customers. On the basis of that you can create your objectives. So basically what happens, whenever we want to generate a specific problem, the problem statement was generated by you. Now it's your task to generate the objectives. So how you can generate the objectives? These are the different number of ways you can generate the objectives, and these are, suppose one, to study the existing organic market is my objective, and how I am going to satisfy this condition. These are the different number of ways. So in the similar way, in any field, if you are having a different number of objectives, it is very important for you to how you are going to provide the solution for that. Okay, so these are the different number of objectives. I am going to take some examples so that you can clearly understand how you are going to write the objectives so that it can provide the solution of your problem statement. Okay, now the next thing I am going to discuss about the problem formulation and statement of objectives. As we know that we are already having a problem, and now I am in a state of condition. I am already gone through the different number of research papers, and I can come to know that these are my problems, and I am having different number of questionnaires, and on the basis of these questionnaires I am having some kind of objectives. I can reach to the different number of objectives which are nothing but my solution of that specific problem. So how you are going to formulate this statement? Because what happened, problem formulation is done by you. Now you have to identify the objectives. So how you can write the objectives, or how you are going to select your field? So the first thing is nothing but you have to identify a broad field or subject area of interest to you. Suppose you belongs to the computer science and engineering background. In computer science and engineering, we are having lots of domains like image processing, machine learning, data science, artificial intelligence. Then among all these domains, on which area is my of interest, keen interest? So I have to ask myself, what is my research area in which I am really keen to do my research work? Okay, so it is very important for any researchers to ask yourself, what is it that really interests me as a professional? Because what happens, otherwise I will already discuss in the start of this session, if you do not interested in a specific topic, you are not able to do a proper research. So you have to identify a broad field, and you have to select a specific domain of your specific area of interest, and then you are started your working. Then once you select your criteria, okay, now you can say that I want to work in the field of data science. Okay, so in data science I am having different number of sub areas. Okay, so you have to dissect the broad areas into the sub areas. Suppose if I am going to take the example of finance. Finance is one of the field in the which was used by the MBA persons. Okay, so in finance area I am going to divide this finance into the different number of sub areas. That is whether I want to do in the work of stock market, precious metal, personal finance, mutual fund, or currency. So among these broad area, I have to dissect these broad areas into the sub areas, and then I am going to select the one of these sub areas on which I want to start my research work. So suppose I can say that whenever I am going to ask myself what is my research area and whether this topic is really keen interested of mine or not, on the basis of that I can select one of my topic, and I can say that yeah, this is one of the area, okay, on which I am really interested to do my research, and then I can start my work. Okay, so it depends on the researcher. You do not have to ask anyone on what topic I have to work it on. The answer came from your side, whether you are able to do the work on that specific or not. So the question is asked to yourself, do not ask to other one. Then once you identify your questions, or once you identify your sub area, then you can generate or create your research questions. Okay, so you can ask the different number of research questions so that you can come to know that on what direction you want to go. So what is it that I want to find out about in this sub area? Because whatever the sub area that was selected by you, suppose you want to work in the field of stock market. So what are the problems? You have to ask the different number of questions whether I can able to provide the solution of that problem or not. Okay, so in this way you can ask the different number of research questions. Okay, and then you are able to generate or formulate or frame the solution for that specific problem. Otherwise, what happens if you don't ask any question, you are not able to generate a proper solution. There is one concept is available in the engineering field, that is nothing but software development life cycle. If suppose one customer came to me and he asked me to create one software. Okay, so how I can generate the software? I don't have any knowledge. That's why one concept is there. I am going to create the questionnaire and I can ask the customer what is your requirement, and on the basis of that I am asking the customer what is your requirement, who is going to be used, your software is used by whom, where you want to launch your software, what are your conditions, what are your parameters. Such type of questions you have to ask. In this way you are having different number of answers, and once I can get the answers from the customer, then I am able to start my work so that I can generate my software. In the same way, in the field of research, whatever the problems that was identified by you, you have to formulate, you have to generate the questionnaires, and you have to ask whether these are the number of questions. On the basis of that, you are able to reach the solution of that specific problem. Then once you raise the research question, okay, so you have to make a list. As we already discussed right now, that whenever we want to do any type of research for that specific problem, you have to generate a list of questionnaires. So you have to make a list of what questions came into your mind relating to your specific area that was selected by you, sub area selected by you. Suppose in the previous stage I can select the stock market. So with respect to the stock market, what are the different questions came into our mind? Why does market fluctuate? So if one of the company is going to be degraded by some kind of accident, it means that the market is going to be go down. So you have to identify the why the stock market goes down, why does it get fluctuate. This is one of the question. Then you have to think about whether is there any correlation is available in between the stock market and the currency market. In this way you can ask the question. Then it may be you have to ask one more question, that in this way, that why people lose their money in the stock market. Some people can get the profit from the stock market, some people are not getting the profit, they are in loss. Why? So in this way you can formulate your questions, and then on the basis of that you are also can do the analysis of various brokers in the stock market. You can visit the different number of brokers, you can ask to them, you can ask the different number of questions, then analysis of all the answers, do the analysis of all the answers you are getting, and then you can formulate your problem. So once you are able to identify a specific problem, now the next thing you have to keep in mind is nothing but you have to formulate your objectives, and objectives are nothing but solution of your problem. So you have to find out what exactly you want to provide the solution, what solutions you are going to be provided by you for a specific problem. Then second thing is nothing but you have to think about what you are going to be determined. These are my number of problems are going to be identified, and now I am able to in a state of condition that I can provide the solution of those problems. Then I am going to examine. Sometimes it may be possible that after asking the different number of questionnaires, it may be possible for me that these are my answers. I am going to collect the different number of answers. Now I am going to do the analysis part, and I am going to extract some kind of knowledge. I am already having one my problem, and now I am able to provide the solution of those problems. So in this way I am going to formulate my objectives. Okay. Then once you formulate the objectives, these are my objectives, and in this way I am going to provide the solution of my specific problem. Then you have to access your objectives. Accessing your objectives are nothing but whatever the objectives that was written by you, whether it can really provide the solution of your problem or not. Otherwise what happens? Your objectives are going in the A direction and your problem is available in the B direction. So this is not happen in your research work. That's why it is very important for you to access your objectives, whether those objectives can provide you the solution for your specific problem or not. Okay. So in this way you have to ask, can I achieve my objectives in time? Hello? Okay. So if I want to write any type of objectives, I want to access those objectives, whether it can provide the solution of my problems or not. So first questionnaire came into our mind, can I achieve my objectives in time? Suppose you are having a limited amount of time, and you can say that I can provide the solution of those problems in 2 years. But whatever the objective that was framed by you, if it is not able for you to satisfy all these objectives, then what is your plan B? In this way you have to think of. Then whatever the research work that was done or that will be done by you for a specific problem, whether do you have some kind of, whether the sufficient expertise are available with you or not, whether you are having technical expertise are available with you or not. So in this way you have to think about. Otherwise what happens, if you don't have any support or if you don't have any researcher which is going to be already work in this field, you are not able to provide this solution. So do I have technical expertise to carry out the research? whatever the problem that was framed by me, this is my direction. On this direction, I am going to work, whether I am having some technical expertise are available with me or not. I am having all the idea, but if I am going to face any problem in the mid of the research, then how I can come it out, how I can come it out from those such kind of problems. So then the most important parameter is nothing but about the money. Because what happens whenever we do any type of research, it may be possible we have to stop our research in between because of the money problem. So whenever you want to start your research, you have to think about the money. Do I have adequate amount of time, amount of money or not? So money, time and technical expertise, these are the most important parameters whenever you want to do any type of research. And then once you are confirmed that these are my objectives, then you have to double check. At the end of the day, again you have to check, am I really enthusiastic about my study? Then whether I am having sufficient number of resources or not. So in this way, I am going to formulate my problem, I am going to formulate my objectives, and now how I am going to provide the solution of those problems. So these are the number of steps that I have to follow when I want to provide the solution of those problems. The first step is nothing but I have to identify the problem. Okay. Once I want to identify my problem, once I confirm that this is my problem and I want to do a research work on that specific problem, then I am going to gather the data. I am going to collect the data for that specific topic. Then after the collection of the data, I am going to check whether those data is relevant to my problems or not. I am going to clarify the problem. And then once I am going to collect my data, I am going to identify the different number of possible solutions for that specific problem, whether I am having sufficient number of possible solutions or not. Suppose I am having 5 number of solutions, I am going to select which one is best option for me. Okay, and then I am going to once I am thought that this is the best option and this is the best solution that I have to use to provide the solution for a specific problem, then I am going to implement my decision. Once I am going to implement my decision, it means that I want to work on a specific solution. Now I am going to monitor my choice. So whenever you want to work any type of research, okay, so the first step is nothing but you have to identify a specific area. Once you identify the area, you have to identify the sub area. Okay, after the identification of the sub area, you are going to identify the gap analysis. Then you are going to generate your research problem. Once you generate your research problem, you can formulate your objectives. The objectives are nothing but indirectly they are nothing but they are going to provide the solution of your specific problem. How you are going to provide the solution? You are going to collect the different number of data which are associated with your specific problem. Then you are going to check whether the data is correct or not. Then after that you are going for the different number of possible solution for that specific problem. From that different number of solution, you are going to pick the best one that was selected by you, and which can provide you the direction for doing the research. And then once you are able to identify a best solution, you are going to implement those decisions. Once you implement, you have to monitor those choices. So in today's webinar, what we discuss about the problem. The problems are going to be arise due to the gap in the knowledge, whatever the work that was done by the researcher, different researchers. So on the basis of that, you are going to identify the research gap. Okay. Once you identify the research gap is going to be filled by different number of research. Research is going to be done by you, because you identify the research gap and now you are going to provide the solution for that gap. It means that you are going to fill that gap. What are the sources of the problem? By doing the observation, by doing the decision, or by doing the daily experiences, reading different number of papers, by identifying the situation in the field, by doing the brainstorming, you are having the different number of, you can came across different number of problems. Then you have to select the proper problem, whether it is internal or external. If it is internal, it means that you are having a keen interest, you are having a different number of resources. If it is related with the external, it means that it was by third party. Then you have to identify the research problem. You are having a decision problem, you can discuss with the expert, you can do the different number of literature surveys, you can go through the different number of work that was done by the different researchers. Then you are having your own survey, you can identify the research problem, you are going to generate your statement of objectives. Once you are able to generate your problem, you are going to identify the solution. You have to identify the broad areas. Okay, you have to select the area which is very near to you, which you really want to do work, and then you have to double check it out. And then last is nothing but you have to provide the solution of the specific problem by doing the identification of problem is already done by you. You can write your objectives. Now you are in the phase of implementation, whether you can collect your data, then you are going to clarify your problem, identify the different number of solutions, and then identify the best solution, and then you are going to implement your system. So in this way, we are going to identify the different number of problems. You have to identify the problem identification, and by providing the different number of steps, by using the different number of steps, you are able to provide the solution for that specific problem. It means that these steps can give you the path to reach your goal. So this is all about from my side. Thank you. A bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere until you change it. Unless and until you do not change yourself in the field of research, you are not able to grab or you are not able to provide the solution for a specific problem. So if you want to do any type of research, my personal experience is that if you are having a keen interest, then go for the internal and then you can start your research work. So this is all about from my side. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much for the influential speech, sir. You really did justice to the subject by concentrating and helping us to identify the problems and giving numerous points with ample number of examples, sir. We feel really privileged to have got this opportunity to listen to you, sir. Thank you. Sir, there's a participant who has a query to put forth to you, sir. Can I read the question to you, sir?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. So Ms. Vishnupriya, she's asking if the decision problem solved through the proper research problem. Is it the decision problem solved through the proper research problem?
Yeah, you can use the decision problem as an opportunity to go for the research problem. It may be possible, sometimes it may be possible. If you are identify one problem and you are identify a decision in yes or no, sometimes it may be possible. Suppose I can say that this product is not good, whether this product is good or bad. Some people can say that it is good and some people can say bad. If it is good, not issue. But if it is bad, so yes, good and bad, these are the decision problem. But if you can get the survey as a bad, then it is the prime responsibility for you why it is bad, so you can do the research. So you can convert this decision problem into the research problem. That is one of the ways.
Thank you, sir. Vishnupriya ma'am, hope. Hello. Thank you, Vishnupriya ma'am. Hope your doubt is clarified. Dear participants, if there are any doubts, you can post your queries to the resource person now, or you can post it in the chat box. So we have one more doubt, sir. Balagunathan sir asks you to please distinguish the life cycle model in software engineering and research concept. He wants you to distinguish the life cycle model in software engineering and the research concept.
9% it is core. These are both are same. The 1% is difference is nothing but you have to take about the technical clarity. If we are going to talk about the software development life cycle, we are aware about all the parameters. Suppose our company is working in the field of science and engineering, and so that company is very good in the Java programming language. So I know technical factors, that what are facilities, whatever the all. You cannot say that. Hello, sorry.
Yes, sir,
but
we can hear you.
Whenever you do any type of research, at that time you are not able to predict what happened in the next turn. Okay, so there is 99% the questionnaires are same to collect the data to reach a specific goal. But if you are dealing with the software development life cycle, you are aware about all the facts. But if you are doing a research, you are not able to predict what happened at the next stage. So that is the basic difference in between the software development life cycle and research life cycle.
Thank you, sir. So Vidya ma'am asked about the application of symmetric Hadamard matrix in real life problem.
Sultan. Hello.
Symmetric matrix are nothing but this is one of the way to represent the problem. Suppose I can say that I want to work in the field of research. I am having some kind of SPSS tools where I am going to analyze my all the data. In the same way, this is one of the tool. I am not having much more idea about that. But this is one of the
Okay.
tool I guess or method for identity.
Okay, so thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for clarifying the doubts, and thanks to the participants for coming forward and getting your clarity on the subject. I think we'll move on to the vote of thanks session. I quote Friedrich Nietzsche, "The essence of all beautiful art is gratitude." May I request Shri Priya ma'am, heading the Department of Computer Science, to artfully express her sense of gratitude to all gathered here.
Good evening all. I, G. Sri Priya, on behalf of KSG College of Arts and Science, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I extend my most sincere thanks to the Almighty God for making today's event a resounding success with His blessings and grace. I would like to thank our Honorable Managing Trustee, Srimati K.S. Geeta, for her continued support to conduct this type of webinars. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank our most respectable principal, Dr. D. Gunalan, for his enthusiastic support and encouragement. Thank you, sir. I would like to acknowledge our gratitude to our today's speaker, Dr. Mahip M Bartere, for making this webinar interesting and meaningful on problem identification and solution. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your research knowledge. I thank our most beloved Vice Principal, Dr. M. Bhaskaran, for his presence. Thank you, sir. I must mention my deep sense of appreciation for the organizing committee convened by Dr. M. Naharajan for your hard work, which has made this webinar a memorable and useful one for all of us. Thank you all. Last but not the least, my heartfelt thanks to all active participants who made this webinar grand success. Thank you all. So once again, I thank all for your cordial cooperation. Thank you.
I'm so to all the members for being an activity management KSG principal, vice principal, coordinator. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We really feel privileged to have you for gracing the occasion. And thanks to all the participants who had joined us today through YouTube Live and in Google Meet. Please do fill the feedback form in the end of the session and join us tomorrow for the 4th day of the International Seminar Series at 6:30 p.m. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Participants, please do fill the feedback form that is being shared in the chat box.
Ma'am, shall I leave?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay.
ஹலோ சுகதா சொல்லு சுகா கேட்குது அப்படியா சரி ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை சரி சரி ஓகே ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை
The feedback link you'll be able to access the feedback link only for 5 minutes. The participants are asked to fill the link immediately.
சரி சரி சரி
This is for the kind information of the participants. The feedback link, you'll be able to access the feedback link only for 5 minutes. Kindly fill the links now. Thank you.
இது
Papi, இந்த அக்கா கூப்பிடுறாங்க வருவா ஒழுங்கா வேலைக்கு போறியா பப்பி இந்த ரசிகா அக்கா கூப்பிடுறாங்க
மேடம்
பார்த்துக்கோ
ஹலோ பின்னி எடுத்துட்டீங்க நல்லா பண்ணிட்டீங்க மேடம் இல்லை இல்லை ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லைங்க அப்படியா சரி சரி ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லைங்க நல்லா இதாக தான் இருந்துச்சுங்க ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லைங்க மேடம் அவ்வளோதான் முடிக்கிறேன் கேட்டதுங்க மேடம் கேட்டதுங்க அவ்வளோதாங்க ஓகே மேடம் ஓகே மேடம் ஓகே மேடம் दिलजित
லேப்டாப் வேணுமாங்க?
இல்லை இல்லை, இன்னும் ஒரு 2 minutes அந்த லைவ் அதில் தான் போயிட்டு இருக்கு.
இன்னும் போகுதா?
லைவ் லேப்டாப்ல தான் ஸ்ட்ரீம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கு.
ஆமாம், லேப்டாப்பில் என்னோட ஐடியா இருந்து, அதாவது இங்கே வந்து இதை போட்டுட்டோன்னு எதில் வந்து மூவ் இது
அதான் நானும் சொன்னேன். கோ லைவ் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி விட்டோம்னா போதும்.
என் ஸ்ட்ரீம் போட்டுடலாமா விஷாலு?
கொடுத்துருங்க.